Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform leaders on and off the court. In today's episode, we are doing a Coach's Corner edition, which is every Friday I share what I'm learning from the week as a young coach, as a young entrepreneur and creator, and also I am sharing, what questions I'm being asked by parents, athletes, and coaches. So let's dive right into this one. I really want to touch about something that's really important and it can be learned, that isn't only learned in the sports arena, but I think sports is one of the best places to learn because it's almost like a safe place to learn as long as you have great people around you. And that is just learning how to navigate failure and be resilient. It's impossible to go through life without failure. Impossible. And if you go through life without failure, then you are not trying anything new. It's all going to be, certain aspects that just don't challenge you. You're not going to grow if there's no failure. And so I really wanted to talk about this and think about this after I got my butt kicked playing some basketball the other day on Tuesday night. I had an opportunity to go play with one of my friends. He invited me, and we were on the same team, and we're playing this. These two guys really were the ones that are working us, and me and him were playing. And so I was either getting my butt kicked by this guy that was super quick, way quicker than me, or this other guy that was way taller than me just shot over me. And so it was really frustrating, right? Because we almost beat them quite a few times, but they just ended up winning. Just that athleticism, that height, kind of carried through towards the end. And I'm not one for trying to make excuses as much as it is like recognizing as people there are unfortunately genetic advantages that some people have. Like if I trained as hard as I could, super intentionally, spent a ton of money, and was trying to make a team that Kevin Durant or LeBron James are trying to make, they wouldn't have to practice at all because they just have the physical genetic advantages over me that I will never have. And that's why I am podcasting and coaching at the age of 25 and not a professional athlete, which is okay, right? Like I feel like that's a part of my path, but resilience is so crucial and so key for young athletes. And I watch, obviously there's the the saying about you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I recognize that it's harder to shoot, right? As, thinking about basketball after you've missed 3 or 4 in a row, right? And sometimes it's okay as long as, and that's probably another conversation that's a little more basketball focused about shot selection. But how do we build that resilience in our athletes to be able to keep taking shots, to keep competing and playing hard when they're getting their butts kicked? Because that's what's really important. Like to this day, like I'm in life, right? Like I try and get podcast, people on the podcast, and a lot of times I don't hear back from them. They say, "Hey, I can do this," and then they cancel. And like I have to be resilient in terms of consistently trying to reach out to people, try and get people on the show. I also am trying to partner with different organizations and gyms for different events for Bridging Impact Basketball. And it's like I'm waiting to hear from different venues, and it takes a long time. And I could give up if they don't respond the first time, but what would I be really teaching athletes if that I was giving up? And so that was just like a really important connection for me to make, is that we may get our butts kicked sometimes, we may not hear back from people, we may fail running certain projects, but are we going to let that deter us from our dreams, our goals? And obviously if you've been a long time listener, I was cut from the varsity basketball team my junior year. If you're a new listener, right, that's an experience that really shaped who I am today. Because imagine if I didn't continue to play basketball after I was cut. I got the opportunity to play JV, again, work hard during the summer and make the varsity team my senior year. I don't know if I would be coaching basketball to this day. I may be coaching baseball, I may be coaching something else. I may not be coaching at all, but because that purpose and passion led me through, those tough times, I was able to be resilient and bounce back. And I actually have the privilege and opportunity to work with a couple of athletes that, didn't quite make the team this year, and it's their goals to, work hard this off season so they can make their, respective teams. And it's really a joy to do because I love working with athletes that, don't always have, the most genetic talent, right? And I think it's very difficult to make, super competitive teams when you have like an athletic disadvantage. But having the resilience to continue moving, to continue grooving and improving, to become a better athlete, a better person, a better leader, is what it's really all about. Because those skills at the end, when we hang up our shoes, we hang up our cleats, right? What are we going to take away from that when we enter the working world, the business world? That's what it's all about. It's all about, being able to build those skills. So, with that, I really want to focus on, for you, when whether you're an athlete or whether you're a coach or a parent, just knowing that, letting your athletes fail, or if you're an athlete, being okay with failure. And also just how do you respond? So I think, response to failure is one of the biggest and most important things. Like, are you, personally on yourself? Are you personally saying like, oh, I'm bad, I'm never going to beat this person, oh, I'm never going to do this, right? Or are you, kind of using it as productive, like, okay, this person has a great first step, or this person's stealing the ball from me here, so maybe I need to protect it, right? Like using those failures as learning opportunities, like, so for me, trying to get someone on the podcast, maybe I reach out at a certain time of the day, and that other times don't work well because they're, on their phones, or whatever it is. And sometimes you just have to be persistent, 3 to 5 times. If you really want something, you have to continue to go out for it. And I think another point I wanted to make is just to make sure this is especially one for parents and coaches as well, but giving your athletes space to fail, like, and making it okay to fail. Like, don't not still encourage them to give their best effort, right? But don't berate them, if they lose, and don't only put them in opportunities where they're only going to win. Because if you win your whole life, like, you're not going to have those necessary skills to be able to, manage failures. Like, the ability to deal with loss in sports is a crucial skill. I actually, I want to share a little story about a friend who, he left one of his jobs, and wanted to get a job right away, but it took him a year to find like a really good fit for him. He made it to the last round of interviews a ton of times, but he was continually had to be resilient, send out resumes, DM people, have little coffees. And his resilience and his ability to continue to persist and reach out is, really how he ended up getting the job. And persistence is the way. I think a lot of times we just give up right away, and that's not how things get done, unfortunately. And that's something I am currently learning, right? That's kind of why I share Coaches Corners. It's kind of an opportunity for me to reflect and share like my experiences that I'm going on, because sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie, I have those thoughts. I have those, like, oh, maybe we should just, give up on this and go move on. Or give up on, trying to get this person on the show and move on, or give up on this organization that's not, reaching out to you. And there probably are certain points of like when to give up, and like, go to another organization and spend time, trying to cultivate relationships. But what really is important is to do not give up after the first, second, or third time. If we get to the 25th time, maybe it might be some time to think about, another sport, or, hanging it up. But if you really love something, I just don't think you should let failure deter you. And we only get one life. It's one opportunity to make our mark, make our impact, and, you know, impact other people. And so that's what we're really trying to do at Bridging Impact, is transform leaders on and off the court. And part of leadership is making sure that we are resilient, we have a growth mindset, and that we believe that if we don't do it the first time, that we can still do it, and we can always continue to grow as people, as organizations. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Coach's Corner edition on the Bridging Impact podcast. If you loved it, if you got something out of it, share it with a friend. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll shout you out in the next episode. Maybe I'll even get y'all some stickers or something as well. So appreciate you all. We will be in your eyes and ears next week. We got interview episodes every Wednesday, Coach's Corner episodes every Friday. And hey, appreciate you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Coach Furtado out. Remember to lead for impact, shoot for greatness.